What's up, guys? It's Ryan Allred here with Pro Play Games. I have a deck profile video. It's my expanded Gardevoir GX list that I played at Costa Mesa to a top 32 finish. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the list and show you what I played. So to start us off, we have 4 copies of Ralts. We play 3 of the Cybolt one from Plasma Storm and 1 of the Fairy ones. Cybolt is so good in this deck because it paralyzes if you flip heads, which, since we really need to keep these Ralts alive and we have slower setups, that paralysis is really big. The 1 copy of Fairy is nice because it's not weak to Psychic and it resists Dark. That's really about the only reason we play that one. We have 2 Kirlias, 3 Gardevoirs, and 2 Gallades. This lets us get into these evolutions. The 2 copies of Gallade right now, with the format being just Zoroark pretty much, I feel like those are essential. They let us get the knockouts, and having access to 1 in the discard pile once one gets knocked out and 1 in the deck gives us just way more outs to getting those active. We have 1 copy of Oricorio. Mostly it's in case we hit that 1 Night March, because it makes the matchup actually pretty even, if not a little favorable, weirdly enough. It's also pretty good against Zoroark now because they play so many eggs, and 30 HP on an egg is pretty easy when you're spreading all that damage. So sometimes it can end up being a win condition. I had that come up once in the tournament. We have 1 Alolan Vulpix to search out our Pokemon. It's also just a really good wall because we're fine with them knocking that out. It's not a Ralts or Gardevoir, so if they kill Vulpix, that's perfect. We have a 1/1 Octillery. Getting out Octillery is super important in most matchups because it's what saves us at the late game so that we can get what we need. Against like a Zoroark deck, they're probably going to hex you every turn, so honestly, if you don't get the Octillery, it's not that big of a deal. For our consistency type stuff, we have 1 Shaman and 3 Lele's. The Lele's help our turn 1 Bridget a lot and help us keep going in the game. The 1 Shaman's kind of weird, I know, because it seems like a liability now, but it gets us those explosive setups when we need it, and that turn where we desperately need a knockout, we can Shaman and draw into it. We have 2 N, 2 Cynthia, 1 Sycamore, 1 Colress as our draw supporters. I really like this this mix. The 1 Sycamore is nice just if we can play our hand out, but like 90% of the time we're going to be trying to use Cynthia. But because we have so many ways to search out supporters, just having that 1 Sycamore is good enough for when we need it, but we'll usually be able to use Cynthia. I only have 1 Bridget just because it's nice, it's like super important to get the setup, but your odds don't go up enough for it to justify the extra spot for me. Because like if I miss the turn 1 Bridget, it's not the end of the world because we have teammates. If we get knocked out, we can immediately search out the rare candy Guardy to keep going. We also have Hexmaniac, 1 Lysander, 1 Guzma, and Acerola. Acerola is really good right now. There were so many games that won me just because you end up with something like damaged in the active. We don't play any Floatstone or anything, so it's also another way to switch. So I like Acerola in the deck, and I like having 2 ways to gust something up for game. Especially having the choice between Lysander and Guzma is huge, because again, we don't play any Floatstones, so we can't retreat on will. We only have 3 copies of VS Seeker. Expanded is so fast right now that honestly, it's rare you'll be able to use more than 3 of these unless you're playing against a like Stall or Mill deck, in which case we have Gardevoir to get them back. Honestly, most decks don't need 4 VS Seekers anymore. The format's just too fast that it used to be you always had to like count how many VS Seekers you had left in your deck, and I never find myself doing that anymore because I almost always know I have some left. 4 Ultra Balls in like every deck, 4 Rare Candy because we're playing Stage 2s, 2 Rescue Stretchers. I really like these over Super Rod because we usually need to get the Octillery or the Glade or the Guardy right this second so that we can evolve it. We have 1 Field Blower, which you need for like a Parallel City or something like that messing you up, or like to get rid of a Floatstone on a Garbotoxin for the turn you need it or something like that. It comes up pretty often. We only have 1 Choice Band. You really only need it the turn you need it, and then you kind of don't. If you attach it early, whatever you attach it to is probably either going to get knocked out or Field Blowered anyway, so like that's like a one-time use, it seems like. Computer Search is definitely the best ace spec in the deck. We have 1 Parallel City. This is to help with the Zoroark matchup. if you can Parallel City and Hex on the same turn and take a knockout, like you pretty much won that game. That doesn't happen as often as you'd like almost never, but being able to even like Parallel City and N and take a knockout's huge just because you take one of their Zoroarks off the board as you do it. So it's really hard for them to get a return knockout unless they already have all their eggs and, you know, they're hitting everything they want. But it also helps turn 1 against Bridget because it means that they can't Lele for a Bridget. For the energies, we're playing 8 Fairy and 4 DCE. 8 feels like plenty of energy to me. The way I look at resources in Pokemon is if I have resources left at the end of the game left in my deck that I didn't use, I probably had too many resources. I like to really try and go through everything because otherwise that means I could have put other cards in my deck that I didn't use. That's the list. I still really like it in Expanded because I think it has a pretty even Zoroark matchup, and that's huge right now. If you can beat Zoroark, you're in a good spot. And it has a pretty solid Glaceon matchup and everything like that. You know, just decent matchups across the board. It just does not do well against Buzzwole, Lycanroc, and or Greninja, and that's kind of what killed my day 2. But thanks for checking it out. I want to give a shout out to Pro Play Games and Ultra Pro. They're definitely the best sponsors out there. And we got more deck profile videos coming up soon. We got a lot going on. Keep checking us out. Thanks.